The Trump trial coming to a close. Judgment is near. We have expert legal analysis and boots on the ground at the courthouse for another historic day of prosecuting the persecuted President Trump. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Historic significance of this trial, obviously, it cannot be overstated as the judgment of President Trump looms. Let's bring in federal criminal defense attorney Ron Chapman for more on this. Ron, good to have you on the show today. So where are we in this trial now that closing arguments are done? What happens now? When do you think we'll know the verdict? And the prosecution spending, what was it, 6 hours on their closing argument? Yeah. Wow, really?
Listen, any longer than about 90 minutes and eyes start to roll, the jury's certainly going to be frustrated by the length of those arguments. If you can't make your case succinctly within an hour or an hour and a half, honestly, you're really stretching and you don't have much of a case. So the length of the closing argument really tells us how the prosecution feels about the trial. And I want to get to your other questions, but I'll say this. The timing of the Biden-Harris event, timed directly at the start of Blanche's closing argument, was a very, very poor move for Biden's administration and certainly for his campaign. I think that it was an effort certainly to allow De Niro to take some of the attention away from what was going on inside that jury room, and we should all be focused on the trial. I'd say with respect to when the jury is going to come back with a decision, every lawyer kind of jokes about it. Friday after lunch is when I'd say 99.9% of verdicts are delivered. The jury loves to get the lunch in and then go home. This is going to be a very tough call. We might have a few holdouts because of political motivation. We may have some people that are tough to convince. But here's the thing. The jury instructions are very clear. Donald Trump must have caused the entry of a false record. We really didn't see that in this case. This should be a quick decision for the jury. I'm going to take a risk and say sometime mid-Thursday we could get a verdict.
Okay. Earlier than Friday.
All right.
Then.
Well, there you go. If you're right, you get the day off. That's what we've decided here. So congratulations to you, sir. The crime that Trump is accused of was finally actually revealed during those closing arguments. Prosecutors, in essence, had to tie a bookkeeping crime to a federal law in order to try and skirt the statute of limitations. That's the long and short of it. In the end, President Trump being accused of trying to influence an election. That's what this seems to come down to me from my layman's perspective. So, Ron, it seems to me that that's exactly what a candidate does when he or she runs for office. And I'd also like you to weigh in on why the defense didn't get a chance to kind of rebut that allegation.
Yeah, this is strange. And this is really a problem with our country right now. Federal fraud laws as well as state fraud laws are being expanded to the point where we don't even really understand what the nature of fraud is. The concept that somebody can defraud the American people by influencing how they feel about an election is just such a tenuous concept. It has absolutely no business in a criminal court. And the fact that they tied their case, that the prosecution tied their case to that issue, really shows that they couldn't find anything else to kind of hitch their horse up to on this idea of felony counts, and that they were really just trying to get outside of the statute of limitations. So I think it's very concerning that they finally reveal the nature of the crime in closing arguments, and all the way during trial, they were it was a prosecution searching for a crime the entire time. That being said, if the jury understands the instructions and understands the nature of the offense, they should be able to come back with an easy decision. My big concern are the jury instructions here, and that the judge didn't require a specific instruction on the specific felony charge that Donald Trump was accused of. That's going to be a tough thing for the defense to get around.
Ron, looking at all angles here, hypothetically, what happens next in the process if President Trump is convicted?
Well, a conviction would then cause a sentencing hearing. That's usually going to happen sometime significantly after the actual conviction. There will be a question as to whether or not Donald Trump would face custody. between the conviction and the sentencing date, that's not likely to happen. Many reasons. First, nonviolent felony offense. We've got somebody who has absolutely no chance of fleeing the United States to escape the jurisdiction. We've got a state crime and a very public election. If there is a conviction on one or several counts, I would expect this to be an easy call. Trump stays out. He goes to sentencing. There's some sort of probation and fine associated with it. We all move on with our lives, but Trump has a felony conviction.
Yeah, very interesting, Ron. Great analysis. And I'm still waiting. I mean, if I'm on the jury, why didn't I hear from Keith Schiller? Why did the prosecution not call the bodyguard, Keith Schiller, who was on that minute 36-second phone call that we heard so much about? That seems to be a gaping hole regarding what the prosecution is trying to do here. But, Ron, we appreciate your time. Thanks so very much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.